Recently, I have made some announcements about the way that I'm working. And one of the things that I have decided to do is really embrace and speak out with my energy work. It's stuff that I don't keep it private, but I also am not leading with it. And now I've decided that it's time to lead with it. And, there are some reasons as to why I've made those choices. The first thing I want to do, is address this. While I may interpret some things for people and define my beliefs in how I see energy and certain terminology, for the most part, I am not going to do that. I may be offering workshops on things like this. So what I'm speaking to is intuition, galactic energy, energy in itself, mind, body, spirit, multidimensionality. Name a spiritual lingo, verb, word. And I don't know that my place right now is to define these terms for people, because I really do, as I say a lot, I believe that each of us should find our own paths and be led in the way that we're meant to be led. The words are different, the meanings and how we interpret them are all about the same. And so I think, find what works for you. And if I use words that don't align with how you believe, that's fine. Then use your own words instead. Okay. So I don't know why, but that hair is really bothering. It's really bothering me. Okay. So anyway, I'm not super serious. But when it comes to spirituality, I do have a practice. So I'm going to just call in the energies that I work with. And I'm just going to ask them for guidance for the collective and what we need to work on, or what any messages that need to come through. All right. So I think the first thing that we need to address is this idea of interesting things. Okay. So I want to address the galactic energy, because I am going to be using this term a lot, because it is the energy that I have it's not that I've moved away from my earth energy, but I have moved and bridged with both, including galactic energy. It is something that as a collective on this planet, we are moving into. And so, similarly to when people had fear and rolled their eyes about anything that had to do with intuition or crystals, new age or woo, or whatever words you want to use with that to me is earth energy. Things when we are gravitating towards crystals, the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water. These are things that I see as, some people categorize as witchcraft. I see as earth magic. I still use this stuff because I am still on earth. And I still think that it's a foundation and a base for all of us to understand. But I do feel as a collective, we're moving into galactic energy. So I wanted to speak to that, and I'm calling in the energy to help guide me into speaking about it. Oh my goodness, this curl is it's like a little microphone. I don't know about that. But okay. So galactic energy for me encompasses universal energy. The frequency feels different in my body. I can tell the difference between when I'm working in intuitive earth magic and energy and galactic energy, because the frequency, the vibration, and how I interpret the information feels different. In the very beginning, when I started merging into galactic energy, my body felt very nauseous, almost as if I was seasick. And that has shifted as I've become more comfortable with the energy. But it is a different frequency. I would say that every single being on this planet right now has access to earth energy and frequency. Not everybody has access to galactic energy. I think that that will change. And whether you have access to working in it doesn't matter, because the galactic energy is, in fact, working with the earth energy. So even if you, as a human being, don't have access to understanding it in your body or in your practice, know that as you're moving through earth, it is having an influence on the earth itself and the frequencies that connect all of us. That means that the way that we interpret changes and shifts will feel different. So I know a lot of this of what I'm saying is hard to, understand and put into practice. So galactic energy for me isn't verbal as a language. It comes through art and interpretations. It comes through my body and it comes through symbols. And then I try to get the information that I need to through those. But in the most part, I'm not receiving information the way that I do for earth energy. So when it comes to earth energy, I do understand it in a verbal way. It comes into my body and, I can interpret for other people. When it comes to galactic, it doesn't come that way for me. It comes through artwork and it comes through healing. It in the healing sessions has really shifted in an incredible way, where in my healing sessions, it's similar to Reiki. Similar, but yet not. So the system is similar to Reiki, in that in Reiki we use symbols, attunements, and there's an energy that comes into the sessions. So in Reiki, as if you are a practitioner or have been a receiver of Reiki, which I think a lot of us have, as the Reiki practitioner, I am not creating the energy. I'm creating the space. I'm holding the space for the guides and the Reiki guides to send energy into your space. So you actually are the one who is creating the energy within your body, and the life force energy is coming through your guides and these Reiki guides that I am calling into the space. What I am doing as a practitioner is I'm holding space and opening the pathway for you to have that experience. So that's how I've learned Reiki, and that is how I feel Reiki, and that is how I work with that space. And it is very similar to the way that I work in most other modalities that I have, is that I am holding in the space and opening the pathways. When it comes to earth magic, I do the same thing. I am holding the space. I am a little bit more in that practice because I'm a weaver, so I do weaving of energy, and in my mind it looks like threads, and I take different threads and I weave them. So if you've ever, if you are somebody who practices magic and rituals, if you've ever done a knot spell, it's kind of similar to that. It's like you're sort of weaving these. I can see them, but they're just threads. It is similar to the way I work within my movement practice, because in movement we have fascia connective tissue, which is, to me, like threads. It's like spider webs, and trying to figure out where is tight, where needs to be loose, all of those things. That's how my mind works in my movement practices. When I work in energy and intuition with people emotionally, again, I'm looking for threads. I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for how I can get to the core and either weave or unweave what needs to be pulled in. Okay, so that's my mind. That's how my practice works. That's different for everybody. So when we move into a galactic space, I still work with threads, because that is how my magic energy comes through. And when I do that, again, I'm holding the space, and I'm not doing all of the threading, but I'm holding the space for these universal galactic energies to drop the cords or the threads for healing into the person's light body. Through the light body, which is not the physical body, it's the light body is outside of our physical body. And as they drop down through the light body, it can begin to drop into the physical form and create healing within the physical body. Now, there are some things that happen here where, the physical body has a lot of resistances. Us humans have a lot of resistances, and so sometimes, even though the healing might be happening in the light body, our physical bodies aren't going to let it in. And so these resistances are also what I work with on a human level, because I do drop into, my coaching practice, my psychotherapy background, and I work on the mental, emotional resistances, and I work on our belief systems, and I work on how we can open up to receiving this healing energy. And so, that is what I am moving into. That is how my practice has changed. So when I talk about healing, it really is this multi-dimensional, but it's also a multi-modality, and really, if I don't know, it's just so many different beliefs that I hold and I look for. I believe that our physical bodies in this time in the world, we unlike other time periods, are very much working multidimensionally. And in some ways, this makes it so hard for us, but it also can be an open door to so many possibilities. And I think instead of looking at this from a place of overwhelm, it's so, so, so important to look at this as a place of opportunity and possibility, because that is kind of how magic is. It can be so overwhelming, but it also can hold so many possibilities and so much love to it. So I'm hoping that people embrace it in that way. But as the humans that we are right now in this place of multidimensionality, it means that we have an abundance of choices, and we don't always have all the knowledge to make the best choices for ourselves. We are working in, and again, this is my belief, you can take it or not, but from the patterns that I've seen in working with people and the way that I have worked for myself, I believe that we are working through traumas that are not just about this lifetime. I think that our souls are working to heal, and we're using this time period to heal. And for some of us, it's instant healing, where, we just don't even need to recover that. We don't need to look at that. We don't need to understand it. We can just let it go. And for some of us, we have to still do the harder work of comprehending, understanding, and learning lessons. And the reason right now that our world feels so, I don't know that hard, but split, is because on a spiritual level right now, the way that I have seen it, there's a split between people who are still working through karma and people who don't need to deal with it. And what that might look like in a practical is that there are people who are still trying to work through soul life lessons or soul lessons and purposes. And there are other people who don't need to hold on to that anymore and can just move forward. And I know some of you are going to interpret this as this isn't fair, but I think we really need to look at it as your soul gets to choose. So your soul can choose to let it go, or to understand something that the soul just couldn't get before, and now has this opportunity to understand it and then let it go. So, you know, our souls are going through a lot right now. And and at the same time that our souls are healing, the earth is healing and the collective energy is healing. And this can create things that feel chaotic and overwhelming, because we are a part of all of it. And so if you are a person who is going through deep life lesson learning and also empathic and feeling into the collective trauma and the earth trauma, it can be extremely overwhelming. And if you are somebody who can just keep moving forward, there are different challenges that come up. And so what I'm doing right now is holding space for all of the things, because I'm understanding all of the things, because I have been through all of the things, because I was going through a lot of life lessons and I went through them really, really fast. And it was really hard. And it felt, it felt dark a lot of that time. But in those dark moments, I now have this understanding of that so that I can help others who are going through that too. And then I got to a place where I could just understand, look at, observe, and release. Now, interestingly, the parallel is that there's life lessons and then there's soul lessons, and our souls have had many lifetimes. And our souls have lived on earth in other dimensions. And all of these experiences incorporate our souls, right? And our souls, if you get really in depth, and I'm not going to get in depth to it today, but our souls also are fragments of a bigger part. And so that's, I think, too complicated to get into right now. But I think when we think about the healing, we have to still think about this lineage, right? Because there's our soul who has had many different lifetimes. And the soul that we're born into right now as a human comes from a lineage that has had many traumas or life lessons. And so we, as souls on this planet right now, are being asked to heal our soul, but also to heal our bloodlines and our lineages, and to heal the collective and to heal the earth. And so we can't do this just by ourselves. We have to do this as a collective. And that's why so many people like myself are now just speaking on it. And it's not about slowing down and teaching every aspect of this. It is about speaking on it over and over and over so that your soul hears it. Because we don't need to teach to the brain anymore. We don't need to heal to the physical body anymore. We need to teach and heal to the soul. And so that's what I am trying to do. And I'm going to make a lot of videos. And sometimes when I talk, it's not straightforward. And I'm going to try to break that down at some point. But I think right now I'm being guided to just speak, because this information just needs to be out into the universe. And right now, our universe is heavily the internet. So feel free to ask me questions. If I say something that you're like, oh, speak more about that, I really want to hear more about that, just reach out to me and ask, and I will try to make a video and speak more to that. I'm going to be guided by the collective. And so right now, this is where I'm at, is just sort of opening the doorway to understanding it and to speaking to where I'm at. And then, really feeling into how this galactic space wants me to interpret. And so we will see. Stay tuned. I'm excited. But yeah, I'm gonna lead with your questions. So send them my way.